maybe put my microphone on and you will hear me better. Hello, everyone. Hi, Andrew. Good evening. It's morning here still. Well, 9 a.m. if you like. I'm good. I'm good. I'm very, very tired. You might see, I might be even looking tired. I feel like I'm looking tired. My whole body feels tired. We've been, for those of you who don't know, pim pam pum. Awesome. So, Fapnado, are you French or something? I used to ski in France, and that's what he used to tell me, pim pam pum, because that was some sort of like cartoonish thingy. I've never really understood what it was, but that's quite funny. So yes, for those of you who don't know, I've been down in Greymouth all week, where we have a house. I've been painting and gap filling and lawn mowing and done all sorts of home improvements. So we're having a tenant moving in there on the 24th. So it's entirely possible that I won't be here on the day before, so that it's in 2 weeks. Fapnado, you just made that up, so that's quite funny. Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is, but they used to say that anyway, which was quite funny. Bonjour, Kung Fu. You're not French, I know you're not. Yes, Miss Pagan, you made it. Awesome. Afternoon, Shell. Good to have you here. Patricia says, "Oh, you do look a bit tired, but glad to be home, I bet." Yes. So we came home quite late on Friday evening, so I was not up between 5 and 6 on Saturday. I was more up like 7-ish. And last night I fell asleep around 10 p.m. and didn't wake up until 6 this morning with the alarm, and I'm still bloody tired. So, well, you'll just have to live with me and my bags under my eyes, because I clearly need another good night's sleep. Okay. Good. I can be French. So actually, my computer is messing up here. Andrew found a trial on berberine versus amiodarone. I've never heard about it, as an antiarrhythmic. Okay, I'd love to have you look at it if you would. Okay, I will have to get a bit organized and write that down, because I've never heard of that. Andrew, can you send me the link or something, or you can email me that if you like. I'm just writing. Me or Darone. That's a very strange name, hard to pronounce for me anyway. Hello, Meter. No fucking announcement from YouTube again. Well, you can hear me through the wall, can't you? Stop complaining. Looks like Pim Pam Pum is also a German song by Die Kita Frösche. My German is not very good. And Simone Summerland, Karsten Gluck, and Die Kita Frösche again. Okay. Interesting. Never heard of. Yes, you gotta do what you gotta do. Exactly. At least it will look good. I could use a full night of sleep too, kids. Yes. It's like I'm having 3 kids, 2 dogs, and someone who's moving around in bed a lot. Good morning, Necrokitty. Or whatever it is we are. It's not morning where you are. But clearly you're sleeping. Or was. Yay, nice to not miss a stream this time. Awesome. Go back to your pizza and beer. Yeah, okay. So today I'm going to try to do this a little bit differently. So we'll see, because I'm going to show you some web pages, some PDFs, some other stuff, and I also want to play you a very short video, and I would like you to actually hear what this woman has to say. So hopefully I can get it right with the sound so that you can hear it. And I would, if it's possible, I want to try to have some interaction going while I'm doing this, because I will be talking about things as they come up. So this is not a presentation as I usually do it. So I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat a little bit to see if I can, catch your questions, etc. So I might be seeming a little bit scatterbrained, and that's probably because I'm still tired and trying to read what you have to say and juggle all the web pages back and forth. Yes, and I actually also have coffee this morning, because a little bit more than a week ago, I finally gave in. I bought some coffee, and that's Irish cream infused coffee, and that's actually quite nice. So you get it without the alcohol. Perfect. Okay, I mailed you the link. Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. I'm not sure that they don't realize that. I think they do, but they don't care. Morning, Harry. Yeah, and in your carnival card, you're not authorized to take anyone else's carnival cards anymore. Yum. So please try to keep this in topic, guys and girls, while she's having a presentation, and pay some attention. Okay, thank you, Gungfu. Yes. So if I see questions about things that don't have anything to do with what I'm talking about, that I'll just scroll back to them later. I'm not going to answer those kind of questions. But if you do have questions about what I'm actually talking about, I'll try to address them straight away, so that I'm not somewhere else and then I can't remember what you were actually asking about. That sounds nice, yes. When you said that, I was thinking about lemon gingerbread, which is really nice. Not good for you, though. So my mouse seems to be acting up, and I think it's not actually. It might be the batteries in my mouse. I hope it's not, because then I'm fucked. I might have batteries somewhere. Depends on what size they are. Yes, I do. Okay, we'll be fine. Okay. Right. So let's get started then. I think we have been chit-chatting enough. So Diabetes UK is one quite a large charity in the UK, and they supposedly meant to be helping people with diabetes, and I'm sure they are in many ways, but in a lot of ways they really aren't. So before we start, I just want to actually share some stats with you that I have taken from their webpage, and then I'm also going to have a look at what NIS, which is National Institute of Health and Care Excellence, has to say about diabetes care as well. So let me just share that with you. If we go there. So between 2012 and 2018, these are the number of people diagnosed with diabetes in England. And I've chose England rather than the UK because I could find they didn't have the whole of UK, the stats for the whole of UK for all these years. So I just chose England, which is quite representative anyway. And as you can see, it goes up, and it's not just because the population increases. It actually, in terms of population, it actually increases with 0.2% consistently every year, pretty much, plus minus a little bit. But as you can see, it's a pretty fair, straight line. So it does increase. So clearly, whatever they are doing to try and prevent people from developing type 2 diabetes is not quite working. One thing I want to say about this graph, though, is that these numbers are actually for people diagnosed with diabetes. So that's all types of diabetes, but 90% of the people diagnosed with diabetes have type 2 diabetes. So that is what I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to look at, rather than the others. So you can just deduct those numbers with 10%, and you will get the real figure for type 2 diabetes. So that was that. Let's see if I can pop out of there and actually get back to my screen. So, oh, for goodness sake. Yeah. I think Bart needs to go back to bed. He has too much bullshit to talk about. Okay. Diabetes. Yes, that's how we spell it. So, with that said, diabetes is clearly still increasing. It's not something that seems to be under control whatsoever. And actually, for what you saw there was an increase from 2.5 million people to 3.2 million people in how many years? 6 years. And, that's quite a significant amount of people that have been diagnosed with diabetes. And they also think that there are about 900,000 undiagnosed people with diabetes in England or the UK. I can't remember whichever it was. I think that there are a lot more than that are undiagnosed or having problems with their pancreas or insulin in general, but they don't really look at that, which I think is very, very strange, but that's just me. So now let's see if I can share a nice little PDF with you here. And for some reason it doesn't let me. Yeah, it does. Here we go. Perfect. It didn't earlier when I tried it. So here we go. This is NIS Impact Diabetes. So that's the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, which we might not agree with, but that's what they call themselves. I hope that you can see this just fine. So I have highlighted a few things that I just wanted to point out. So NIS has said that the next steps on the 5-year forward view highlights that the risk of type 2 diabetes can be reduced through tailored and personalized help, and that technology can be used to help people manage and improve their condition. That sounds, quite nice, tailored and personalized help. So that's what they want, NHS to do, and I'm assuming that, having looked at things, Diabetes UK seems to be, working quite closely with NHS, even though they are a charity. And I think as a charity, they should have different interests, as in the people that they're trying to serve. So preventing type 2 diabetes, if people know that they are at risk, they can often prevent or delay type 2 diabetes by making healthy changes to their diet and lifestyle. Okay, the NHS Right Care Diabetes Pathway highlights that 5 million people have high blood sugar. So if you think about what we have been talking about lately on this channel, if 5 million people have increased blood sugars, how many people have normal blood sugars but increased insulin levels? As in, they are not yet displaying high blood sugar because they still have a pancreas that pumps out enough insulin. And they haven't even addressed this anywhere, that this might actually be a problem. And that is pre-diabetes, if you like. So first, you will have increased insulin to keep those blood sugars down. And then second, when that fails, that's when you're going to have constantly high blood sugar levels. So they're not even looking at that. Was there anything more I had? Okay, yes. So just a quick look at, I'm not going to go through this very thoroughly, but personalized care planning, what they were talking about. They want to look at your cholesterol, serum creatinine, whether you're smoking or not, your BMI. I stopped highlighting, but they want to obviously have a look at your feet, because diabetics often have problems with their feet. No, I did, but I just didn't think that was relevant for pre-diabetics. Blood pressure measurement, HbA1c measurement, sure, good. Urine albumin measurements, eye screening, also for diabetics who already have diabetes. So all of these things, sure, have a look at that. But what do they tell us? all of these things are actually related to the same thing. You usually get these when you're becoming obese, or when your body is out of whack, and they're all kind of related to the same thing. Just stop that. So these are not complications of diabetes. They are all symptoms of the same thing, that something is not quite right, which is usually related to insulin, inflammation, not eating the correct diet, etc. Let's see if you have anything to say on that. Yeah, so individualized care, of course, as long as you do exactly as everyone else does. So yeah, so individualized care according to a specific model, which were those things that I just scrolled through. So if you have high blood pressure, you go into a certain model. Actually, let's do this. I can get that up here. Oh, my mouse has totally shit itself. So just give me a second. I'll get some other batteries. That must be the battery. No, now it works again. Okay, never mind. I have my battery here anyway. So let's get the web page up for NIS. nis.org.uk. Here we go. And let me share that with you as well. Here we go. Okay. So this is the web page for NIS. And they are doing all sorts of things. If you look at NIS pathways, for example, so everything NIS says on a topic in an interactive flowchart. So you could find anything here. What's the... No, my mouse is fucked again. I don't know what's going on here. So I'll just swap the battery. So you can see they have abortion care. So that's like when you have gone through an abortion, how are we going to deal with that? What's going to happen after that, etc. So they have pretty much all sort of conditions. So let's hope that this works better. So let's see what they have to say about diabetes. So diabetes type 2 prevention, for example. So this is what it looks like, and they have different things. Let me see. Like preventing type 2 diabetes, and that could go into a training branch. So if you click that, what's happening there? National training and accreditation, training to carry out diabetes risk, blah, blah, blah. So not so interesting. And then we'll skip that one. We could go down to this one, national strategy and policy to prevent type 2 diabetes. So what is their national strategy and policy to prevent type 2 diabetes? So they want to, I hope you can see, I can't see you now, but if I change tab like this, can you see what the screen actually says? No one says anything, so I'm just going to assume that you can. I could potentially get that a little bit larger, like this maybe. And then we can't see that, so let's not do that. That's just annoying. Okay, so they want to encourage people to be more physically active. So the national recommendations on physical activity for everyone are: aim to be active daily. Over a week, activity should add up to at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity in bouts of 10 minutes or more. So if you do 30 minutes of walking 5 days a week, they think that this is sufficient to prevent type 2 diabetes. They also think that if you need to lose weight, most people may need to do 45 to 60 minutes of moderate intensity activity a day. Okay, so if you need to lose weight, here's the, you need to exercise more, you need to do it every day, otherwise you won't be able to lose weight. And particularly if they do not reduce their energy intake. So they mention energy intake, but nowhere here or anywhere, I'll show you, do they talk much about diet. And I'm going to show you what I mean with that, because they do mention food, but not diet. People who have been obese and have lost weight may need to do 60 to 90 minutes of activity a day to avoid regaining weight. Why? Why do you need to do 60 to 90 minutes of activity every day to avoid regaining weight? This sounds to me like if you have lost weight, you have been on a diet, and now to stay there at that current weight, you go back to eating whatever you've been eating before, and to maintain that, you have to work out 60 to 90 minutes every day. I don't think that's sustainable. It's easier to actually not go back to eating what you used to eat before. Okay. It's just lots of more about that. I'm not going to read all of that because that's going to take forever. So let's jump over to the next one. So working with food manufacturers and retailers to encourage healthy eating. Okay, this sounds like it could be something good. But when we actually look at it, what they are focusing on is they want to work with food manufacturers to improve the composition of prepared foods where needed to A, decrease calories, B, decrease saturated fat, and C, salt content. They don't mention sugar, they don't mention carbohydrates. It's calories, saturated fat, and salt. And I'm questioning whether they decided this in the 80s, which was 40 years ago, or if they're actually, even having a look at what, the current literature says, what is actually working in the real world. Where do these guidelines come from, and why do they not even mention sugar? When I grew up, which was in the 80s and slightly before, diabetes was very uncommon. I didn't even know that grown-ups had diabetes. I had a friend who developed diabetes type 1 when she was 6 years old, and we used to call that sugar illness. And I know that it's called something similar, or used to be called something similar in many other countries, if you translate it. And that is because of their inability to process sugar and carbohydrates. So why are we not talking about the sugar content or the carbohydrate content in those foods that needs to be labeled? It doesn't make any sense. And then they want to work with caterers and pretty much do the same thing. It's nothing new here. They don't add anything. They all focus on saturated fat, calories, and salt. Because salt apparently is supposedly raising blood pressure. And I don't think that is true for someone who is healthy, unless you have some sort of genetic disposition. Let me just have a quick look if there are any questions that I need to address. Otherwise, I'm going to continue. Yes, so spot on PM, the UK is a poor food environment and the numbers of high home IR is off the chart. Yes. I mean, we don't even know what those numbers are because no one's checking them. And most Northern European living in cold environments have more fat cells that mask their glucose dysregulated numbers. Interesting, yeah. Mandy, you haven't missed that much. I'm just gonna go on a rant today, pretty much. Oh my god, Luke, come on. Okay. 40 watching, but only 22, is that likes, thumbs up, whatever. So meanwhile, while I'm scrolling through the chat to see if you have any questions, I think that, oh, Necrokit can barely read it. I'm sorry. I'll try to read it out without slurring too much. Okay. No, they don't care about people's health. Okay. So yes, exactly. Don't eat calories, salt, saturated fat, or salt. It's just crazy. So more of the same repeated stuff. This otherwise would kill more good misguided folks. Be your own advocate, do your own research, listen about Pim and Harry. Exactly. Or other people that actually know what they're talking about. You can listen to whoever you like, but it's just crazy stuff. So let's move on to healthier lifestyle messages for the whole population. So what is a healthy lifestyle and who decides what that is? Let's see. So, address any misconceptions about the risk of diabetes and other non-communicable diseases that can act as barriers to change. This includes the belief that illness is inevitable, fatalism, and misconceptions about what constitutes a healthy weight. Also address any stigma surrounding the conditions. Okay, talking about target audience. So I think they're talking about this because there are many Indian populations and such in the UK which have an increased risk of diabetes compared to British people, etc. So they want to get the message out to everyone. Okay, so messages and materials should highlight the need to reduce the amount of time spent being sedentary. Fine. That is good health advice, but I do not think that is going to prevent many people from getting type 2 diabetes. So if you're eating pizza, chips and ice cream and cookies and donuts all day long, if you do that walking around, you're still going to get type 2 diabetes. I'm sorry. Highlight the importance of being physically active, adopting a healthy diet, and being a healthy weight. I'm sorry, but who doesn't already know this? But NIS think that NHS should say that again. There's no one who goes to the NHS, takes a blood test, and gets to know, they tell them that you have high blood sugar or whatever, that doesn't know that they should be active and they should eat well and they should be at a healthy weight. And if they do, if they don't, there's something bloody wrong with them, because there's no way that any intelligent human being could have missed that message during the last 20 years or 30 years or maybe 40 years. Right, and then increase awareness of healthier food choices and the calorie content and nutritional value of standard portion size meals and drinks. Okay. So once again, focus on calorie content and the nutritional value. Yes, it's good if we get adequate nutrition from eating whatever we're eating, but standard portion size meals and drinks. Okay, drink water to start with. We don't need anything else than water ever. We don't need it. We think we need it, but we don't need it physiologically. If you are eating the food that you are meant to eat, that you have evolved to eat, you do not need to portion control. Your body will do that automatically, maybe not straight away, maybe not initially, but over time, your body will say that I've had enough, this is enough food. We're not actually, I don't know anyone who's overeating meat. It's very, very difficult to do. So we don't have that problem if we're actually eating the right diet. The problem here is that we don't eat the right diet. So they think that they're going to be big brother here and jump in and make sure that people are not overeating of the food, that they're not supposed to be eating in the first place. Right, let's see. Hit the like. What's not to like? Come on, do it. Yes, hit the like. Good. Joe Fry guitar guy. That's so catchy. Yeah, exactly. I like how they come up with low-calorie snacks. That's so convenient to do that, because if you have low-calorie snacks, you can sell a lot of them and you can make a lot of money. It's brilliant. You can't really get any better. Exactly. Since when are doctors knowledgeable in nutrition? And never have been, never will be. This is interesting. I mean, most of you probably know that I have a master's degree in nutrition. And I went into that because I wanted to know more. I was a trained diet advisor, and I figured that this isn't really working for most people. I'm giving advice, I'm doing I have this program and I'm assessing what they're eating, and I know that they get adequate nutrition, and still they don't lose as much weight as they should, even if we reduce their calories with 500 calories per day, as would be appropriate if you want to lose weight at a good rate. So what's the problem? I wanted to study nutrition to find out, and what they were teaching me was appalling because it's all according to the dietary guidelines. And the only good thing that I got out of that degree was pretty much that I learned how to have a look at research papers. So while I was doing my degree, I still had no clue. Within a year finishing my degree, I was much more enlightened. I was on a ketogenic diet pretty much permanently, etc. So I did try the ketogenic diet before I finished my studies, but after that, I was just totally convinced that this is the way to go, and I'm still convinced, and that's 10 years later or more. Much more. Well, since I started the ketogenic diet the first time, that is. Okay. Okay, so Miss Pagan, I hear constantly from my diabetic relatives, I just have to have the carbs. I need the snacks. Yeah, okay. That's really interesting because I have a dear uncle of mine, and without bashing my cousin too much, she is also into the food industry, but we're not exactly having the same opinion about foods. And he is a really relaxed and nice guy, and he's always been. But now he has type 2 diabetes, and they were going to travel to see my mom, which lives in a different city, for her birthday. And his wife said, no, he can't travel because he needs to have his. Okay. I bet you all heard that. I don't know what Bart is doing in there, but something's falling down. So he was traveling, or he wasn't traveling because she didn't want him to travel because he needed to have his snacks at certain times, and he couldn't find trains to suit his snack times because he needs to have them at the same time every day and a certain amount of carbohydrates. And is still eating bloody porridge and sandwiches and stuff like that. So this is extremely common, and I do not really understand why things don't click, why we can't connect that carbohydrates are connected to the pathology of diabetes. It's so obvious that it kind of I'm losing hope in humanity when we can't understand such a simple complex. It's not that simple in reality, but if you do remove the carbohydrates, you get a chance to reverse it. So the carbohydrates is the big thing here. There could be other things at play as well, but not to the same degree. When I was a kid, I was the only one of 4 siblings who was fat. Now we're all in our 50s. I'm the only one whose weight is consistently going down and health consistently improving. Yeah, that's very interesting. When I was a kid, we had pretty much maybe one fat kid in each class. So, yeah, there wasn't many fat kids around. And when I think back now, the fat kid wouldn't be considered to be fat today. Yeah, one of them was. The one in my class, he probably was, but not obese, just fat. Okay. For goodness sake. Thanks, Gungfu. Tell him to fuck off. Okay. Yes, probably. I have no idea what it was. It sounded like the whole thing was going down. Okay, so maybe I should just jump back here now and keep having a look at this. And thanks for letting me know that. Okay, so strategy for diseases linked to diet, physical activity, and obesity. So they want to address the key risk factors. For example, being overweight or obese, a sedentary lifestyle, and an unhealthy diet. And I don't think we need to look at this much more because we have already had a look at what their opinion is about being overweight and the sedentary lifestyle, how much they think that we should be moving, and about an unhealthy diet. And let me just have a look now. I think, yeah, I'll find that later on. So this is pretty much what NIS has to say about it. And I just want to, if I do this, you probably won't see that. So I need to stop share that screen. I can't even find a way to stop sharing it. There. And then we're going to share another one. This one. This is my favorite, the Eat Well guide. So that's like the NHS food pyramid, which is this one. And what happens if I press that? Yeah, you can still see this, can't you? Yeah, you can. Awesome. So we could increase that a little bit. I can increase it a lot. So this is the Eat Well guide, and I'm assuming that NIS is referring to this because they're always working together. So they want you to eat a balanced diet and healthier, more sustainable foods. It shows how much or what to eat and or what should come from what food group. So there's not much change here, more than a third should be carbohydrates, and then more than a third should be the fruit and veg. And then we have a little bit here with the proteins and some dairy and dairy alternatives. I'm not really sure why dairy has to be in there. And then we have a tiny little slice of oils and spreads. So let's just have a look at it. Something that has actually improved is that they have taken the sugar out of here, because for a while they had sugar on as a tinier slice actually on here. So that's good. And also here, water, lower fat milk, sugar-free drinks, including tea and coffee, all counts to your 6 to 8 glasses per day. And then they say limit fruit juice and or smoothies to a total of 150 milliliters per day. So that's an improvement, because before they used to say that you can substitute one of your 5 a days for a glass of juice, which I think is crazy. So at least that has improved, but they still want us to choose, I'm reading like this, whole grain or higher fiber versions with less added salt, fat, and sugar. So that would be potatoes, bread, bagels, which are bread, rice, whole wheat pasta, normal pasta, I guess, more bread, porridge, couscous, whole grain cereals, and all those sort of things. So they want us to eat, I don't know, 35% of that maybe. And then they want you to eat at least 5 portions of a variety of fruit and vegetables every day. So here they don't, I think they used to say preferably a maximum of 2 portions of fruit, and the other should be vegetables, but they don't even mention this. So literally I could have 1 portion of bananas, 1 portion of pear, 1 portion of apple, a portion of grapes. I don't know what that are. Maybe that's pineapple. I have no clue. Let's say it's pineapple and a portion of pineapple. So how many grams of carbs do you think that would give me? I mean, depending on the fruit, but it might be 150 grams of carbs just from being healthy and eating my 5 a day. You could also opt for just doing, lettuce and whatever and not get so many carbs. But anyway, let's move on. Protein, beans, pulses, fish, eggs, meat, and other proteins. So they just had to add this. Eat more beans and pulses, 2 portions of sustainably sourced fish per week, 1 of which is oily. Eat less red and processed meats. So I agree, less processed meats is probably a good idea, because They put all sort of things in there, and we don't always know what they're doing to us. And eating as natural as possible, I think, anyway, it's quite important. I'm not perfect. I'm eating bacon. I like salami, etc. And I had some, I don't even think it was smoked, but obviously processed ham that I bought sliced ham last week, and that's processed, so it got other things in it as well. So, I'm not eating perfect, but I do think that if you want to do it perfectly, you go for the totally unprocessed meats. And then they have dairy, and of course, they have to tell you to choose lower fat and lower sugar options. Low fat dairy is high sugar food in general, because what else is left in there? Milk sugar, as in lactose. And then the little sliver of oils and spreads, choose unsaturated oils and use in small amounts. So they're basically telling you to use vegetable oils and margarine, which we know is atherogenic, is not good for you, it's very inflammatory, causes heart disease and all sorts of stupid things that we don't want to do. And we don't want to have those oils in our cell membranes because they're getting very prone to oxidation. So it kind of upsets me that they're still recommending this, because they know better. Even the popular magazines out there are now talking about rapeseed not being very good for you. And then they still have this on here. The crisps and the cupcakes, ice cream, sauces, chocolate, eat less often and in small amounts. And they do mention preferably not more than 5% if you read the document of your daily intake. So that would be no more than 30 grams of sugar per day, which is still quite a lot. So let's jump out of there and see what you have to say. If you have anything to say, that is. Necrokid, I was a fat kid in class. Okay, I feel sorry for you, because then you were different in a not necessarily good way. Hi, Honest, nice to have you here. Yes, the Fat Well Guide. I agree. It's not. I don't know how many years it's going to take before that is getting anywhere near where I think it should be. It probably won't ever get to exactly where I think it should be, but if we could get it pretty much right, if we could get it to at least be somewhat ketogenic or very close to it or very low carb, I would be perfectly happy with it. And then everyone can tinker around and see what they do best with, and that's all good. Always been too heavy or too thin. I'm finally close to my ideal. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you found something that kind of works. Yes, eat to get sick for sure, guide. Uh-huh. Nutrition guidelines are like American Mexican food. The same ingredients, just shaped different. That's funny. Mr. B, I follow 6 meals a day for 10 years by advice of YouTube and fitness advice. Maybe they do it because insulin will increase muscle mass. Things change 180 degrees since my low carb enlightenment. Mr. B, you and me, both of us, I ate 6 meals a day from probably early 20s to late 20s anyway. And it totally messed me up. My mom used to say, "Do you ever stop eating?" She was so sick of me every hour running around the cupboards when I was visiting her, because I couldn't go without food. Even I moved out when I was 19 maybe, so I didn't start doing that until after I moved out. But still, I can remember her saying that, because every time I visited her, I was just looking for food constantly. A balanced diet is a steak in each hand. I like it. It's like awesome. Yes, that is disgusting looking plate for proportions and quality. It's I'm kind of lost for words. What do you say? It's just a lot of bullshit on the plate there. And And the things that most of you here are kind of carnivorous or low carb, keto. So they don't even want us to eat the red meat, as if that is actually a problem. I think they need to have a think again. Yeah, juice has too much phytochemicals. It may trigger some people's conditions, not to mention the sugar. Oh, we miss fresh fruit this winter here. Yeah, I mean, I like fruit, but I do like berries more, which is lucky because they are usually lower sugar. But the last bag of frozen blueberries I bought, the berries are dry and sour, so they're not nice at all. At least I acknowledge I eat none ideally, but I hate other omnis saying balanced diet, which is like 1500 calories from carbs. Yeah. So who decided that that is a balanced diet? They decided it. I didn't. So it's just super objective. It's not a balanced diet, in my opinion. Summary: take away the fruit and veggies and bread, corn, and you will be fine. Yeah. The only correct thing is less processed meat. I agree. Absolutely. Shell sets. I don't have 150 carbs in a month. I would be in bad shape if I ate that a day. I have carb PTSD for sure. Yeah. Uh, they should call it Mr. Randall diet, mixed macros on steroids. What the fuck? Sugar and seed oils. Great. Yeah. Oh, for goodness sake. So he keeps breaking all my shit. So from now on, plastic cups. So actually, for you, those of you who do not read Swedish, it says sorry, Pim. I dropped a cup on the floor and it broke. Pretty much in a little bit bad Swedish, but there we go. Permaculture pagan. I'm learning to make my own salami sausages and summer sausage this year. I'll be getting a piglet in a few months. So that's awesome. That's sort of, I mean, you know exactly what is going in when you make your own processed meat. I don't think it's a problem because you know exactly what you're putting in. You can put in whatever you want, and if you put shit in, you will know it, and maybe you shouldn't be eating it. Robbie D. NHS have also struck a deal with Novartis to trial a twice-yearly injection that will lower cholesterol as an alternative to statins. Oh my god, I didn't even know that. I need to write that down. So, sorry guys, to lower cholesterol. I wish I had an assistant here that could actually write all this down for me. So I had no idea about this. I don't know what Novartis is, but clearly it's some sort of cholesterol lowering thing. That sounds very, very bad for you. And it's not like if you don't feel good, you can't stop it, because I'm assuming that it will last for 6 months. So you're pretty much fucked once you've done it. Welsh Bogan, I'll complete my first week of zero carb and I feel great. People think I'm crazy, but I thought that before. Yeah, that's fine. They can keep thinking that you're crazy if they want to. 1 stick a day keeps the doctor away. Jimmy Baker, hi Pim, hope you're feeling at home in Nelson. I love Nelson, but I'm actually really cold right now because it was 11 degrees at night, and we live in we live in sheds basically. There's no insulation in the walls, so it's kind of cold. I'm still cold. In England, I'm pretty sure we pronounce the NIS guidelines as nice, like ice, not NIS as in kiss. Not that it's important. Lord Dream, I think I disagree with you. I've been studying biomedical science in the UK, and it was always referred to as NIS. That's why I'm saying NIS. It looks like nice, though, but they're not nice. As in, they are not nice, because I think I disagree with a lot of things that they have to say. yeah, the thought of eating more than 3 meals a day makes me feel nauseated. This is quite funny because I'm also I like having the feeling of not being completely full and stuffed. But once I start eating, and especially if it's a lot of carbs, so that you want to eat more, I just keep eating and eating and eating, and I feel like I don't feel well, and I keep doing it anyway. So when I'm in the role and I'm not actually eating a lot of carbs and might be eating once or twice per day, I feel great in my body. But it's so easy to just start eating more as soon as it's something that isn't just natural food. And that goes even for things like berries, which is natural, I suppose, but and salami and bacon and all those kind of things that have more taste to them. I can eat so much more of them than just plain meat and salt. Uh, yeah, good to know. Was just no, absolutely not just you. Oh, here we go. Andrew Wilkinson. The practice nurse told my wife when she was diagnosed with type 2 to always have breakfast of Weetabix and skimmed milk. That's what started me on this journey. Yeah, so this is crazy. It's like you removing the fat from the meal so that the carbs that are in there will be processed much quicker and get out into your bloodstream much quicker and raise your blood glucose much quicker than it would if you had a full fat milk. Now, I'm not saying that Weetabix in any way is desirable, but what they do is like they make something that is a problem a bigger problem by removing the fat as well. Yes, I harvest buckets of blueberries each summer, so yummy. Yeah, I used to pick blueberries in the woods when I was a kid. I make my own liver pate and head cheese. I'm not sure what head cheese is. Let's not discuss that because that sounds horrible. Uh, okay. I only mention it because my psychologist worked for them on their autism guidelines, and he pronounced it nice. But I both your experience. I mean, this Lord Dream. I don't think. I mean, however you want to say, it's not really important. It's just like all my teachers were always referring to it as NIS. Whether that is correct or not, I don't know. But they are clearly produced thousands of biomedical scientists that now would say NIS rather than NICE. So who knows? Maybe call NIS and ask them how to pronounce it. Okay. So now I'm just reading too many questions, aren't I? So wait. We haven't even got to Diabetes UK, but I think let's have a look at what they have to say because that's if I can find that. Now I can't even find that. This is so annoying. So we had a look at this, and I want to share the PDF with you, but it doesn't find my PDF anymore. There we go. Ha! Just had to select it. Okay. So Diabetes UK, let's get rid of that, maybe make it a little bit larger for you to see. And I've been highlighting a few things in here as well. So this is the PDF on tackling diabetes. So first of all, what they say, there are more people than ever living with diabetes. In England, 4 million people, 1 in 15 have the condition. Almost 900,000 of them are estimated to be living with the condition but undiagnosed. So when they say this, they're talking about the people that have high blood sugar but haven't been diagnosed with diabetes type 2 yet. So again, as we pointed out earlier, how many people are having normal blood sugars but have a problem with their insulin or the pancreas? We don't know, but it's probably huge. And the seriousness of diabetes, they recognize that every week diabetes leads to more than 169 amputations, 680 strokes, 530 heart attacks, and almost 2,000 cases of heart failure. And more than 500 people with diabetes die prematurely every week. I mean, that's 500 people every week. That's huge, in my opinion. I know the population of um, the UK or England, whichever this is about, is fairly large, but 500 people die totally unnecessarily. We have 2,000 heart failures every week because we can't give the right bloody diet advice. 680 strokes, that's, they might end well and they might not. A lot of those 680 people every week that get a stroke because they have diabetes, probably lose some of their personality and their function in their body. So we're doing all these crazy things, or diabetes does all these crazy things to people because we can't give proper advice. And I mean, I think it's appalling. So here, the NHS spends at least £10 billion a year on diabetes. Okay, so £10 billion. I mean, I can put 50 billion moustaches on me and I still won't really be able to grasp how much money that is. That's a huge amount of money. And what could I do if I had 10 billion per year? I could build a bloody empire dishing out advice for people how to eat better and teach people how to eat better to not actually get diabetes in the first place. I can't even imagine the things that I could do with £10 billion. And I could hire all of you to be my ambassadors and go out there and promote it. And we could get so much done with £10 billion. And they are not even able to reduce the amount of people that are diagnosed with diabetes. They can't even do that with £10 billion. Rather, they amputate people and treat the strokes or whatever. And don't talk about medications, etc. So more than half of all cases of type 2 diabetes could be prevented or delayed, they say. I think it's something more like 99% of all the cases of type 2 diabetes could be prevented or even actually reversed. That's my opinion anyway. If people were just eating the way that they should be eating. Now, not everyone is prepared to stop eating the way that they're eating, and they will then get diabetes anyway. But today, we're not really giving people the choice to choose between eating well and getting diabetes. We just, even people that eat well get diabetes because they are told that they're eating well. They think that they're doing the right thing when they're not. So Diabetes UK calls for the government commitment to support and deliver the ambitious proposals in Chapter 2 of its childhood obesity plan. I'm not going to go into that. But this is what I think is interesting. They must include introducing mandatory out-of-home calorie labeling, banning of promotion of unhealthy food, and introducing a 9 p.m. watershed for advertising unhealthy products. So basically what he's saying is that for children, they need to know how many calories they are eating. So we're basically going to create another generation of people who are afraid of food and going to eat it anyway, and they're going to start counting calories and think that everything is about calories when it's not. And then we try to, protect them from what's happening in the real world by not letting people advertise unhealthy programs on TV, etc. But it's totally fine to do that to all food addicted adults who are watching TV after 9 p.m. So, it sounds like band-aid to me. It's not anything that is going to work long term. Just, do something real with your money instead. Government should commit to taking decisive action if the food industry does not meet commitments as part of the Public Health England sugar, salt and calorie reduction programs. Yay, they're actually talking about sugar. They mentioned sugar, and hooray. Now, I had a quick look at this. I'm not going to share it with you because it was quite boring. What it actually means is that in pre-cooked meals, foods, etc., they are trying to reduce the sugar and salt and calorie intake with a certain percentage in a certain amount of years. So that we are kind of preventing it from going overboard and we're just getting it down a bit. So it's still processed foods, it still contains sugar, salt, fat, whatever, calories, and they're just trying to put a cap on that and dial it back a little bit. So, but at least they acknowledge that sugar is a problem. It's the first time I see that here. So increasing availability of services that can put type 2 diabetes into remission. Okay, how are we doing that then? It is possible to put type 2 diabetes into remission through weight loss. Intensive lifestyle changes, including low-calorie diets, like our direct study, have promising results, with almost half of the participants achieving remission 1 year later. Bariatric or weight loss surgery is another possibility. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NIS, has guidelines on when it's appropriate to refer people with recent onset type 2 diabetes for bariatric surgery. We know that weight loss can be achieved through various means, including low-carb and Mediterranean diets. Wow, they're mentioning low-carb. And the benefits of weight reduction to people with type 2 diabetes can be significant. Even if they then go into remission, it can help them reduce or stop taking blood glucose lowering medications and reduce the risk of complications through improved HbA1c management. And then we need more research to understand the long-term impact of remission on reducing complications and the subsequent impact of NHS spending. So I'm really pleased that, low-carb diet is on the radar, but they pretty much telling us that bariatric surgery, Mediterranean diet, low-carb diet, all viable options to lose weight, because it's possible to put type 2 diabetes into remission through weight loss. They attribute this to weight loss, not to diet. And what they don't seem to understand is that weight gain, diabetes, all the complications that come with diabetes, everything is not because we are fat. We are fat. Fat is another symptom of us not eating the foods that we should be eating, of our hormonal system being totally messed up, most likely because of the way we are eating. It is not about the weight loss. Weight loss is just another symptom. Just like diabetes is a symptom, the weight loss is a symptom. The high blood pressure is a symptom. The high cholesterol is a symptom. If we eat right, we fix all of these, because it's the eating that is the major problem here. It's not that we are sedentary or that we're weighing too much, because that only comes when we're not eating right. And I'm not sure why this is so hard to understand, because then they're talking about, in order to lose weight, we need to eat right, or we can just have a bariatric surgery, which in essence will prevent you from eating too much of the bad shit, even if you continue eating it. So they call for the NHS to pilot a program of low 800 calories a day diet, as committed to in an NHS long-term plan, so that people with type 2 diabetes can benefit from this approach to weight loss and potential remission as soon as possible. 800 calorie diet ongoingly is probably going to mess with your thyroid. You're going to get very cold, you're going to get tired, and you are pretty much going to set yourself up to some sort of resistance for weight loss long term. This is not the way to go. Low calorie diets long term are awful. Go and ask Dr. Jansson Fung, do some bloody fasting, and then eat in between. If you want to eat 800 calories or 1600 or 2000 calories in between when you're not fasting, it's all going to be good probably. But fasting induces a totally different hormonal response than an ongoing low-calorie diet will do. What 800 calories per day is going to tell your body is that there is food, there isn't enough food to keep your basal metabolism going. So if you keep eating this little and you want to live, you're not going to be able to. So what we need to do is we need to reduce the amount of energy that we spend. So we're going to not do as much repair on your body as we need to do. We're going to reduce your metabolism in general, which means a lower body temperature. You might start losing hair. All these kind of things that are not necessary. You will get dry and flaky skin because we don't have the energy to maintain that. Whereas if you're fasting, if you don't get any calories, that is because there is an acute food shortage. And you need to do something about it now, or you're going to starve to death. So your body is actually going to ramp up the metabolism and get you energized. And yes, there are some stress hormones, which are not ideal, but you will get them because your body is made to go out and hunt down that mammoth or whatever you're going to eat. So you have two totally different hormonal responses. So a low-calorie diet, especially ongoingly, is not good for you. Maybe you can get away with doing it for a week, maybe not, but I wouldn't recommend anyone to do that for any sort of prolonged period of time at all. And then they call for increased use and access to bariatric or weight loss surgery for people with type 2 diabetes that could benefit from it, and a recognition of metabolic surgery in local care pathways for people with type 2. I mean, seriously? Is this what we have become, a society that is fixing everything with surgery or pills, etc.? It's crazy how many people are doing these kind of surgeries and then actually regret it because they don't feel great. Some people are really happy about it because they will lose weight, but what it's doing is that it's preventing them from eating. So you can't eat the same amount of the crap that you ate before, which would obviously be beneficial. But seriously, we can do this in a different type of way. Even if you're going to keep eating the foods that are not good for you, you could probably get a handle on your food addiction in a different way than doing a surgery. It's like we're giving away all our power. It's like we're totally powerless. We can't do anything about it. We're just going with the flow, and we are possessed by our addiction pretty much, unfortunately. And we're kind of counting on the medical system to solve the problem for us. We don't want to deal with it ourselves. We just, nah, I'm too fat. I can't be bothered. Let's just do the surgery and then I don't have to think about it. It's a very easy solution, but it's not good for you. It's not good for the economy. And that's why we have £10 billion a year put to this. How much does a bariatric surgery cost? Probably quite a lot. How many of those do they do every year? I don't know. I haven't looked into it. So yes, this is, in my opinion, totally crazy. Let's see what you have to say, if I can find my way back to the chat. It's the dehydrating effects of carbs that affect our appetite. I drink a lot when I'm eating carbs, like a lot. Okay. Head cheese is meat from a pig's or calf's head that is cooked and pressed into a loaf with aspic. What the fuck's that, aspic? Just for information. Okay. Very interesting. Never heard of. Might have to look into that. Me too. Here's a pretty low carb dessert I make. Just a handful of frozen cherries, thick Thai coconut milk is like cream, and raw garlic. Trust me, the garlic works lovely and is a good source of L-theanine B1. Alright, garlic, cherries, and coconut milk. I wish I love coconut milk in like a Thai curry or something, but I have tried to drink. Well, I can make like turmeric tea with lots of, cinnamon and cardamom, those kind of spices, and do that. But just coconut milk, like making coconut milk ice cream or anything and just eating it like that, makes me feel really, really sick. And I don't know what it is. So I don't think I could do this. But garlic and cherries, I'm not sure. Exactly. Jason Fung, Ben Bickman, and Robert Yes, he Robert. I don't even want to pronounce his last name. Um, he's also like a no sugar coach, I think. Yeah, so do I get 5 billion squids? And Necrokitty says, I get all the squids. Speaking of squids, maybe I should be telling you again that if you want to support this live stream or this channel, you can donate on the address down there if you want to part with some money and help me get this going or keep this going. Speaking of which, I went to on Friday, not this Friday, but Friday before, I went to have a blood test to have my insulin levels tested. I went in, the woman who took my test screwed up and didn't put it on ice, which means that the insulin will be broken down. So I had to come back and do it again. And I haven't got my results yet, but I have got a refund of the money. So I'm assuming that I screwed up again. They haven't emailed me to let me know at all. So getting a simple insulin test here in New Zealand seems like a mission impossible. So tomorrow, Monday, I'm going to give them a call and see what is actually happening, because I wanted to share with you what my home IR actually is. So I've done that, tried to do it anyway, didn't obviously pan out as I had hoped that it did. Let's see where we were. And by the way, this address is down in the description as well, I think. Have you guys seen the news? I think a lady on the American Heart Association has explained her low-carb diet on TV. No, I have not seen that. All they do to reduce fat, salt, and sugar in prepared food is reduce the portion size. You spend $4 for 5 ounces. Yeah, exactly. It's brilliant. And if you're hungry, then you can buy some low calorie treats as well. I remember when they started coming out with those 100-calorie packs of whatever. So you got 2 crackers, or you got a tiny bit of, dried fruit and nuts, or God knows what it was in them. I never ate them, but they were ridiculous, because you open one of those and it's a mouthful and then it's gone and it's 100 calories. And how many of those couldn't you eat? Yeah, the guidelines will keep you hungry and diabetic, exactly. Yeah, people don't seem to understand that in most cultures, people eat carbs due to poverty, cheap calories after all, but they are not our main foods. They are a fallback. Yeah, and they are cheap. They're really cheap, so it's very easy to go and buy and consume, etc. But the thing is that when we lived in Greymouth, meat was quite expensive and it was hard to get good quality, etc. Now I'm back in Nelson, and we have lots of butchers here, so it's so easy to get much cheaper meat as well. But if you only eat meat, you don't eat the vegetables, because vegetables are quite expensive, especially for what they are. Really, you won't be paying that much more for your food if you are getting good quality meat and make sure that it's really good quality. You might have to pay a little bit more, but even so, most people do quite well eating just normal meat. But I would still recommend that you go for the leaner meat if you know that they are, factory raised, because it's not ideal. And I do not like the way that those kind of animals are treated, so I prefer to get mine naturally raised on pasture. Nesra, I have a nutritional question. Why do I get hungry after eating cow tongue but totally satisfied after eating butter? Cow tongue, well, maybe you're just not getting enough fat. Could be. Have you tried any other fat with it? Just out of interest. I can feel semi-hungry, as in not totally satisfied after having eaten a lot of protein, but when I'm not eating a lot of fat. But I can't eat more protein. So I'm still feeling hungry, but I can't actually eat more because I don't want to eat more. It makes me feel like, oh, I don't want more. But if I'm just adding some butter, or I could even, go and snack on pork crackling or something, and boom, I just feel fine. People who eat sparse, large meals seems to feel less cold than people who snack often. Yeah, I agree, and that goes for me as well. But then when I was snacking often, I there was a lot more carbs in my diet as well. Exactly, honest as fuck. Managing the symptoms will not cure diabetes, and I'm wondering, out of those 10 billion pounds, how many of those are going to management rather than curing? Probably 99%, because they're not curing anything really. They barely mention the low carb diet. I'm going to go back to their website soon, just looking through your questions. And I'm going to show you. So Ben Bickman says that because the high fat larger meals reprogram mitochondria to generate heat. Yeah, pretty much. You will get much more active and well functioning mitochondria if you're eating meat, because that will just rev the whole system up and they will produce more energy for you. So it's all good. Usually, the weight loss surgery folks will develop an addiction, typically alcohol, and gain the weight back. Must deal with the mental side of it. Yeah. So if you don't do that, you know, most people will find another way of gaining their weight back. Soap and Slap, I would love to rent a holiday park here and do fat camps in the winter where everyone does keto carnivore. Yeah, that would be super cool. Can I come and work for you? I would love to be involved with that. I think that would be so awesome. Condensed coconut milk is awesome. Lots of sugar though. I've not had that, but that sounds like it could be palatable to me. Uh-uh-uh. Gra. This chat is jumping again. Okay. Oh, permaculture pagan needs to go. That's all right. Have a lovely day, you two. Look, I feel bad pain. Won't change my diet yet because it could cause friction with my family. And when I begin working, I want to do it with my own money. Too worried about transition periods while studying. That's fair enough. I mean, Luke, listen, you told me you're Brazilian, you're eating typical Brazilian food, meat, beans, and rice. You could eat so much worse than that. Seriously. And if you feel alright, just do it. And, you know, there's a time and place for everything. Gather knowledge, do whatever you can now, and move on with it. And then when you can do it with your own money, when you're not studying anymore, and you might have more time to observe and tinker around with it a bit, you might notice that you feel great, and that might influence your family. And it's much easier to do it that way rather than trying to, talk them into something as well. So just do it that way. It's all good. Um, Nesra, ground beef works great for me, or eggs with butter. Lean meats have me hungry, like poultry or excessive lean cuts of beef. Pork, cow tongue is supposedly very fatty. I don't get it. Okay, let's have a look at how much fat is actually in a cow's tongue. Because I don't know this. Okay. So it's 16% fat. Might not be enough for you. I mean, it's really hard to say. Okay, so lots of talk about Frankie. So I'm gonna jump back to whatever I was talking about. So this is what I'm saying. I'm getting a little bit scatterbrained when I'm trying to deal with your comments and then remember what I was talking about earlier. So I'm going to go back to and actually have a look at Diabetes UK's website, and I want to share a certain video I found on there. It's a 2-minute video. So if you can and not hear the sound, let me know. It's just 2 minutes long, but let's see. Okay. Oh. See if I can find it. Why is it not there? Here we go. Right, so this is Diabetes UK. This is their website. I'm just going to, we go here and I found a tab called Diabetes and Food. And then I have type 2 diabetes because that's what we're talking about. And then I happened to end up on Sharon's story. I'm not really sure why we were at Sharon's. Actually, I don't think, hang on, let me redo this because I didn't even get the option and I don't think it would play that. So let me stop that. Let me share again. See if I can, there's a, yes, that should be working. So this is Sharon, a diabetes specialized dietitian, and we all know that we love the dietitians. She explains the advice she gives to people with type 2 diabetes about shopping, cooking, and eating. So it's just 2 minutes long, and I want to share that with you. Let's make that large so that you can see her as well. And I can't hear her. So I'm just going to play
what
this.
I've eaten today, I've just had breakfast, and that was a cereal with semi-skim milk. And I love my tea, so I had a cup of tea as well. Diabetes, certainly when people come and see me, that's the biggest concern that they have, is that they believe that diabetes will affect how they eat and how they shop and how they live in general. And my job, I feel, is to try and encourage them to consider just changing what they eat, not necessarily dramatically changing to a completely different way of life or a completely different diet. It's just slight changes. I would try and encompass the idea that they need to know more about their condition. If they know more about it, then they are more likely to be able to make the changes that are required. My favourite comfort food is probably chocolate, like most people. If it was during the winter months, I'd probably go for a hot chocolate. When people ask me about what to eat as alternatives, so they perhaps would ask what would be the alternative to ice cream. I think it's very difficult because if you want ice cream, that's all you want to eat. So perhaps the suggestion would be to have a smaller portion of ice cream, or maybe to look for products that say low fat on it, or something like a frozen yogurt.
Okay. So this is the first thing I see when I come back. Yes, so I can't remember what she actually what she actually said, but my first impression is that when you see her, I'm thinking, I remember we have God, I can't even remember what they call him, but this institution in Sweden that is regulating all the the food and the food advice and blah blah blah. And we had a woman coming in lecturing us from there when I was studying nutrition, and she was big as a house. And I thought, who on earth is going to listen to you and why you're working for them? Because clearly, if you're living by what you say is working, then then that is not, sorry, if you're living by what you're teaching, then it's clearly not working. And that's what strikes me when I see her. She doesn't really have a chin. It just goes from here down here, and where she might not look massive, but clearly she is not handling her food well and eating what's best for her body. So I'm gonna scroll back a little bit because I might have missed some stuff. Okay. So something that I do remember is what she said in the end, like, well, if you want ice cream, that's what you want, so I would just recommend that you eat a bit less. Okay, so she is not exactly lean. She probably has diabetes herself. And she's telling a food addict to just eat a little bit less. How do you think that is going to work for you? I'm not ever going to buy a tub of ice cream and then just have a few spoons out of that. It's not going to happen. That's not how it works. I don't want 3 spoons of ice cream. I want a tub of ice cream, and I'm going to eat a tub of ice cream. Once I've started, I'm going to continue. So this is like the worst advice ever. And she, from memory, she said something along the lines that, oh, people are afraid that they will have to change their diet dramatically. You bloody well should. You should, if you have type 2 diabetes and you're not changing your diet dramatically, you're not going to change your diabetes dramatically. Do you want to be diabetic? Then fine, go ahead and eat whatever you have been eating. So what the fuck is she doing? When I chose what to study, I was actually looking at maybe becoming a dietitian. The reason that I didn't was because I didn't want to work with sick people. I didn't want to sit in a hospital all day and tell people what they should be eating to manage or treat their condition. Because that's essentially what dietitians are trained to do. They learn some cooking so that they can cook for people that don't eat certain amino acids or can, digest them or metabolize them, or that sort of thing. And it didn't really appeal to me. I just wanted to learn everything about nutrition, to optimize my own nutrition and optimize the nutrition of other people and help people be as healthy as possible. I didn't want to keep people alive. So now she's there to be their best friend rather than giving them the facts of what is actually good for them. How is this going to help anyone? If you're a nutritionist or you are a dietitian, you should be telling people that this is what you need to do if you want to feel good. And she's not doing that. She's faffing around a little bit and trying to be the friend, if you like. And I don't really understand the mentality of that. Yes, it's like taking advice and have to live a sober life from a meth head. Exactly. So, as I said, I can't remember exactly what she said, but it's crazy. It's like, have some ice cream. But even just believing that someone can have a little bit of ice cream, how many people can actually do that? It's not that many. Eating ice cream cures diabetes. Yes, clearly it does. She's the chieftain orc. She ate her way through all the competition. Yeah. So we're obsessed with the orcs now. But yes, I do. I can see the similarities. Yeah. So the first rule of being a healthcare professional is do as I say, not as I do. Yeah. But even so, she didn't even tell them what to do in a sense of anything that would actually help them. And that's very sad. When I ate less snacks, my maximum went up so that the less would be exactly what I had in front of me. Yeah, sure. Whoop. I have that with ginger nuts, always the whole packet's eaten. Yeah, of course. I mean, you're not gonna give me a packet of Oreos and say, yeah, you can have 2. You can give me 2 packets of Oreos and say you can eat 1 packet. I might be satisfied with that. But I'm not going to have 2 Oreos out of a packet of Oreos. I'm going to eat until they're bloody gone. Now we're being a bit rude, aren't we, Shell? Weight Watchers cinnamon rolls. Do they have cinnamon rolls as well, or do you mean the Nutrisystem ones that I just thought, what the actual fuck? Me too. We really do live in La La Land. I would not be able to stop myself from laughing in that woman's fat face. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. It's just, are we talking about cognitive dissonance here, or what is the actual problem? So let's go back to that page again, because there was some more stuff there that is quite interesting. If I can find it again. Okay, go there. Let's go out of there. So let's have a look at these. So 10 tips for healthy eating with diabetes. This is on Diabetes UK's website. What are the 10 tips for healthy eating? So there are different types of diabetes. No people are the same, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we know this. Scroll down. First, 1, choose healthier carbohydrates. So they do address carbohydrates and they encourage us to choose healthier ones. So here are some healthy sources of carbohydrate, like whole grains, like brown rice, buckwheat, and whole oats, fruit, vegetables, pulses such as chickpeas, beans, and lentils. This is very interesting. So they want you to choose these as healthy carbohydrates, but on the Eat Well plate, the peas, chickpeas, beans, and lentils are all listed under proteins. Okay. Maybe we should be consistent here. Either they're fucking proteins or they're carbohydrates. Make your mind up, because this is very confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. Generally, people think that they are proteins, but now they're talking about them as healthy carbohydrates. So what is it? And then dairy, like unsweetened yogurt and milk, are also under healthy carbohydrates. So last time I looked, sure, there are carbohydrates in there, but is that a carbohydrate-rich food? Is it seen as a carbohydrate-rich food? I would think not, but I mean, maybe if they try and train dietitians like Sharon to write this shit, maybe that's why. That's the problem. It's also important to cut down on foods low in fiber, such as white bread, white rice, and highly processed cereals. You can check food labels when you're looking for foods high in fiber if you are unsure. So just out of, because I got it up here for you again. So let's have a look at the whole grains like brown rice, buckwheat, and whole oats. Whole grains are so much better than not whole grains, isn't it? And yeah, maybe not so much. So I have had this table up before. You know what? I'm having some problems here. So let's see if we can do this way. Yes, here we go. So here's the glycemic index. I've had this particular one up before. And if you need a quick reminder, the glycemic index is an index of how much pure glucose will raise your blood sugar over a certain period of time, a certain amount of glucose. And then you compare that with a certain amount, the same amount of carbs in any other type of food, how much that will raise your blood sugar. So when we look at white bread, for example, that is 75. Glucose has 100, so that's 75% of the rise you get in blood sugar from eating pure glucose. And then we look at whole wheat, wholemeal bread, which is 74. So what the actual F is the difference? They are pretty much the same. 1 plus minus 2. Some people might actually get a quicker blood sugar rise after eating whole wheat bread than white bread, just because there is an error of plus minus 2 when they measure this in people. So just the whole recommendation there is just bullshit. Now, you shouldn't be eating any of them. They're obviously not good for you, but I'm not really sure why we keep promoting this as something that we should be doing when it clearly doesn't actually make a difference. It's the fiber. But to say that they are healthier carbohydrates, they're not. They're carbohydrates, end of. Then they want us to eat less salt because eating lots of salt can increase your risk of high blood pressure, which in turn increases risk of heart disease and stroke. And when you have diabetes, you're already more at risk of all of these conditions. So try and limit yourself to a maximum of 6 grams of salt per day. I probably eat something like 10 grams per day and have done my whole life, and I have low blood pressure. Now, I think that is genetic because my mom has low blood pressure as well. But yes, high blood pressure will increase your risk of heart disease and stroke because the more pressure you have in your arteries, the more damage you're going to do to your arteries. So there is that. But salt doesn't on its own increase high blood pressure. You need to get on a good diet. You don't need to restrict your salt. If you're eating a lot of processed foods with a lot of salt, you're in trouble, but not because of the salt necessarily. You're in trouble because you're eating crap. So can we just, get this straight? Okay, eat less red and processed meats. If you're cutting down on carbs, you might start to have bigger portions of meat to fill you up, but it's not a good idea to do this with red and processed meat, like ham, bacon, sausages, beef, and lamb. Okay, ham is processed, probably. Bacon is processed, sausages usually contain gluten or some other sort of carb, and is processed, beef and lamb. Okay. They all have links with heart problems and cancers. No, they do not. There is no study that has studied anyone eating natural foods like beef and lamb that is getting heart problems and cancers. We are looking at processed foods where pizza counts as red meat. Pizza is full of carbohydrates. They need to redesign all these studies that they've done where they have seen anything because they're not representative of the diet that we actually do think, or I think, is good for you. So that is all bullshit. And they want us again to swap it for beans and lentils, eggs, fish, poultry, and unsalted nuts. Now, nuts are probably not the best idea. Unsalted hopefully means unprocessed, as in unroasted, which is better than having the roasted ones because then you subjected them to high heat and they might have oxidized fats in them. Nonetheless, most nuts are very high in omega-6 fats and it's very easy to eat a lot of them. So they can be very inflammatory and they're very easy to snack on. So, if you eat nuts, fine, eat nuts. Eat them raw, with or without salt, I don't care. But, don't go crazy with the nuts. Don't go nuts with nuts. Okay, eat more fruit and veg. No surprises there that they would say that. I'm not going to talk anymore about that. Choose healthier fats, and this is also very upsetting to me. Healthy fats are in foods like unsalted nuts, seeds, avocados, oily fish, olive oil, rapeseed oil, and sunflower oil. So what the actual fuck? As I said earlier, there is even, the popular magazines out there that anyone will read. They are talking about rapeseed oil being inflammatory and not very good for you. So maybe Diabetes UK should go and have a look at that at least, and maybe update the guidelines a little bit. And sunflower oil isn't much better. So just skip that. Yeah, sure, eat avocados if you like. Eat oily fish, sure, go for that. I do eat olive oil. I don't think olive oil is the worst oil, but remember that every single processed oil will be oxidized to some degree or another. So if you can get your fat from, pastured meat or even butter, if you're eating butter, like unprocessed foods, it's always going to be better for you. And they say some saturated fats can increase the amount of cholesterol in your blood, increasing your risk of heart problems. And these are mainly found in animal products and prepared foods like red and processed meats, ghee, butter, lard, biscuits, cakes, pies, and pastries. And I think we maybe should be focusing on the last two. Lard, especially if it's coming from pigs that have been factory raised and are very high in omega-6s, this might be true. Biscuits, cakes, pies, and pastries, yes, but it's not because of the saturated fats that will increase your cholesterol mainly. And we can't just talk about cholesterol anyway. What is the problem here? Do you have a lot of LDL, HDL? And is that actually relevant? Or maybe we should be looking at more, what other particle sizes there are, what sort of LDL, kind of generalizing too much. And is this a problem if you're not inflamed? Probably not. So this is so complex, and they're making it sound very simple, and they're just looking at one little piece of the puzzle. And is that a problem if you have very low triglycerides? Probably not. There are lots of things to that. I'm not the expert here, but what I'm going to tell you is that all of this is bullshit, and you can take my word for it, or you can do your own research. Both of them are good with me. Number 6, yay, cut down on added sugar, but they had to say added. So we know cutting out sugar can be really hard at the beginning, so small practical swaps are a good starting point. Blah, 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 blah. So swapping sugary drinks, energy drinks, and fruit juices with water, plain milk, or tea and coffee without sugar can be a good start. Sure. You can always try low or zero calorie sweeteners, also known as artificial sweeteners, to help you cut back. So they're basically telling you it's fine to eat artificial sweeteners as long as you cut out sugar. And I totally disagree with this. I would rather have sugar every now and then than filling myself with poison that my body can't metabolize. Okay. Cutting out these added sugars can help you control your blood glucose level and keep your weight down. Well, have you read the studies about artificial sweeteners actually having people gain weight? It messes with your hormones. Not all of them might not do that, but it's fucking you up, literally. Okay, so they didn't mention it here. I saw it somewhere else, but they basically say, have as much fruit as you like because there's no added sugar. There's sugar in, but that's fine because they're natural, and natural sugars are better. I don't know where I read that, but I wish I. Anyway, they're saying that somewhere on the page. Be smart with snacks. If you want to snack, choose yogurts, unsalted nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables instead of crisps, chips, biscuits, and chocolates. But watch your portions still. It will help you keep an eye on your weight. So, snacking is always an emotional event. If you're snacking, you're having problems with food, you're having problems with food addiction, stop it, get a handle on it. I can teach you all about, emotional eating if you like, and I have videos on that you can go back and watch. Snacking is never because you're hungry or that you need it, unless you are a diabetic and you're having a proper hypo when you're getting really low blood sugar. You shouldn't be snacking. No one should be snacking. The snacking means something new. 50, 60 years ago, no one was snacking. We ate 3 meals a day. And people were, as we said earlier in the chat, there was one fat kid in every class. So in general, people were doing pretty well with 3 meals a day. And if you want to do 1, 2, 3 meals per day, I'm all for it. But don't snack. Drink alcohol sensibly. This is funny. Alcohol is high in calories. So if you drink and you're trying to lose weight, think about cutting back. It's not just that it's high in calories, it's also very estrogenic. So if you want some bitch tits, because we like that word, then go on and drink alcohol. Or if you're a woman and you want to increase your risk of estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, then drink some fucking alcohol. Doesn't necessarily have to do with the diabetes, but obviously it's not great for diabetes either. Okay. What else? I was going to say something else about the alcohol. Yeah, it's also depressant. So when you drink alcohol, you will feel great in the moment, and then after you usually feel quite low. And when we feel low, what do we tend to do? We tend to move towards comfort foods. So not a really good thing. And who here hasn't been, eating excessively at stupid hours of the day when you've been drinking alcohol? Most people probably have. Then number 8 again, because clearly whoever wrote this has not been able to count to 10 without making a mistake. Probably because of all of those carbs and not having had their Snickers yet, so they're having brain fog. It's apparently against the law to say that food is a diabetic food. I find that a bit funny. And that is because there's no evidence that these foods offer you special benefit over eating healthy. And they can often contain just as much fat and calories as similar products and can still affect your blood glucose levels. Of course they can. All foods can pretty much, apart from fat. And then they say these foods can also sometimes have a laxative effect. So the foods that have been labeled diabetic foods, probably what they refer to here is actually foods sweetened with non-caloric sweeteners, as in sucralose and that sort of thing, which often can make your stomach upset. So yeah, that's not a good idea. And then get your minerals and vitamins from foods. Yep. And they actually say that there's no evidence that mineral and vitamin supplements help you manage your diabetes. So that's I don't think that's entirely true. There are actually some supplements that you can take that will help you manage your blood sugar, but we can't rely on that alone. Just that is not going to do it. So I'm talking quicker and quicker because I want to go through all these in 15 minutes. Let's have a quick look at the chat and see if anything else is going on that I need to address. Okay, Andrew, gotta go. I'm off to the shop for ginger nuts. Take care. Take care, Andrew. Nice to have you here. Okay, Mita, do you know if diabetes-induced eyesight deterioration is reversible? I think that depends on how far it has gone, because you are destroying the little blood vessels in your eyes, and I'm not sure they can always grow back. So I think if you are starting to see worse and you're curing your diabetes and you keep it under control, or whatever you want to call it, remission, whatever, I think you can get some of that back, but you're probably not going to get all of those blood vessels back. So it's probably always going to be some damage. But I do think that to some degree it's slightly reversible, and we obviously can prevent it from going any further. Absolutely. Yeah, it's banana fruit. Banana drives glucose as much as a chocolate bar. Exactly. That's my point. The thing is with the fruit today, they manufacture they're bred or cloned, whatever, to contain as much sugar as possible, because that's what we want, that's what we're looking for. So they're not anything like the fruits would have been 100 years ago. That's a problem. So we're looking at them, we're saying they are natural, but they're not actually that natural. They are in origin natural, and then they've been modified to suit our needs. Okay. Exactly. So food keeps you alive, meat and fat keeps you healthy. So this is, a healthy way of looking at food, I think. Yeah, if you just want to keep someone alive, you can feed them whatever. They're probably not going to die, and it's going to take many years before they die, and they might not be healthy all the way. But if you actually want to have a good quality of life and enjoy life to, the degree that you can, then meat and fat is probably the way to go. And then if you want to add something on top of that, like for me, it's blueberries. Is it necessary? I don't know. I feel better doing that for now. That might change in 5 years. Maybe in 5 years I do better without the blueberries. I don't know. So, I think we need to build a base around the meat and fat, and then from there, if we want to, we can branch out. Yes, so Andrew has a good point here. Saw something by Jason Fung recently about low salt increasing all-cause mortality, which was even greater in people who have had heart attacks. Yes, I've seen this too. I think it's something like if you eat less than 2 grams per day or something like that. I can't remember exact figures, but yeah. Thanks, Patricia. This is true. Rapeseed is canola, same thing. Not good for you. cut out those weird sweeteners that are complete trash, not for everyday use. Yes, correct. I only drink alcohol on date nights. That's fine. I'm not saying you have to cut it out completely, but there's always a degree to how healthy do you want to be. So, how often can I have sugar? How often can I drink alcohol? How often do I want to do these things? And is it worth it? There's always a trade-off. I might not notice the trade-off if I'm having, let's say I'm having two drinks tonight. I'm not going to get a hangover tomorrow. I'm going to feel fine. But physiologically, there is a price that I will have to pay, and am I willing to pay that price? Probably if I don't feel it the next day. But there might come a point where I start feeling it the next day, and then I might not be able or willing to pay that price to do it. So, oh yes, Patricia, you're spot on. Who else here is old enough to remember it? No, you can't have any food. You will spoil your dinner. My mum always used to say that. No, you can't have that because then you're not going to be hungry for dinner. Which is, I mean, it's true. I always wanted to eat some toast or something. She's like, nope. We're having dinner in 1 hour. You will have to wait. Who needs alcohol? We got you to get us buzzing, Tim. I'm glad I can get you buzzing. Oh, interesting. So I can remember when Milky Ways first came out, and the ad said the treat you can enjoy between meals without ruining your appetite. I've never seen that actually, but then I was probably in Sweden by the time, and they might have had a different view on that. Okay, so let's move back to. Oh, you're still seeing that screen. It's just that I haven't unshared it yet. So I'm gonna move back to this screen. If we can find it again there. Let's have a look at eating for diabetes and heart health, because that's quite interesting. So, what's the connection between diabetes and cardiovascular disease? If your blood glucose levels are high over time, you're more likely to develop atheroma, a fatty material that builds up on the lining of the arteries. This can lead to a heart attack or stroke. Diabetes can also increase the damage done by some of the risk factors for cardiovascular disease, including smoking, high blood pressure, and high blood cholesterol. The good news is that simple changes to lifestyle, including diet, can help you to manage your diabetes as well as reduce your risk for cardiovascular disease. Okay, then what is a healthy, balanced diet? Haha, the basics of healthy eating are similar whether you have conditions like diabetes and heart disease or not. There's no one size fits all approach to eating healthily, but it's important to have a regular meal pattern and make healthy food choices such as fruit and vegetables. At least 5 portions every day. Whole grains, oily fish, lean protein foods such as non-processed meat, poultry, pulses and nuts, as well as lower fat milk and dairy products. Keep the fatty and sugary treats to small amounts and focus on the type of fats we use as well as the amount of salt. Okay. So a couple of easy changes in your diet that can help, from saturated to unsaturated fat. Okay, here we go again. Swap butter and ghee for unsaturated vegetable oils and spreads such as sunflower, olive, rapeseed, or corn. Oh, that's like swap the healthy fats for the atherogenic fats so that you can get more heart disease, so that you're building yourself up to be very prone to oxidation damage in your cells. This is crazy, and I don't know why they're still recommending this. And then they say trim visible fat from meat and remove the skin from chicken. That's something I heard in the 80s. Now, yes, chicken skins often contains a lot of omega-6s, but if you're just eating that every now and then, chicken isn't the best meat to eat because it's very lean, and when chicken has some fat, it's usually a lot of omega-6s because birds eat a lot of seeds, which contain a lot of omega-6. And then the low fat milk and dairy products, and swap biscuits, cakes, chocolate for healthier snacks such as fruit. And there we go. Who said chocolate and banana gives the same blood glucose rise? Yeah. And then we go, cut down on salt. it's like reading the same thing over and over again. They trying to, no matter what page you're going to here, they're trying to brainwash you into having this bloody diet. And then they have a Q&A, and they're saying that basically don't eat butter, it's not good for you. Should I eat foods that contain cholesterol like eggs? And they actually do say, they are up to date there, that it's fine to eat eggs. So they can be included as part of a healthy, balanced, and varied diet. Alcohol, they recommend that you 3 to 4 units a day for men, 2 to 3 units a day for women. And again, I think they're just trying to make you feel good and, not making you feel as if you have a disease. So keep doing something that is not healthy for you, but moderate it. So we're always there. And, anyway, just skip that because diabetes and food. I want to look at that one quickly before we're finishing up here. I have type 2 diabetes because that's what we're interested in. And they want you to lose weight. They have a weight loss planner. So here, breakfast ideas when you have diabetes. Oh, isn't it sweet? Here are some healthy breakfast ideas to choose from. A bowl of whole grain cereal with milk. They actually didn't say skim milk, which I'm surprised at. 2 slices of whole grain toast with olive oil-based spread. A pot of natural unsweetened yogurt and fruit. So that's low fat, probably, yogurt, and sugar. This is sugar with a spread which olive oil based. Yes, there will be some olive oil, but there's probably going to be a lot of rapeseed or canola and sunflower oil in there as well. It's usually whole grain with whole grain cereals, that's sugar. 2 slices of avocado with a hard-boiled egg. Yes, I would support that. But I would probably eat 2 or 3 eggs and a whole avocado because I'm me, and I would have some bacon with that because bacon and avocado is like a match made in heaven. I don't know what it is about it, but it's lovely. And then lunch ideas. This is actually slightly better, but a chicken or tuna salad sandwich. Remove the sandwich. Why do we need the sandwich? Chicken and tuna salad, perfectly fine. And then add some homemade mayonnaise or something on top of that. And then a small pasta salad. Why pasta? Soup with or without a whole grain roll. Okay, so this time we get the option to have the roll or not. But soup isn't quite filling. I would like something else with that. Now, when I make soups, they're usually quite meaty. If I make like a goulash soup, which I haven't done in years, there's a lot of meat in there, for example. So I'll make it a bone broth with lots of meat, and then if it's a goulash, I have some onions, some garlic, some tomato, and smoked paprika and cumin in there. But that's not for everyone. Maybe a piece of salmon or tuna steak and salad. Okay, not bad, not bad. Dinner ideas: lasagna and salad. Again, pasta. Roast chicken and vegetables with or without potatoes. Okay. Where's the fat? Give me some fat. And without potatoes, thank you. Beef stir fry and vegetables with or without brown rice. No, we don't need the rice. Beef stir fry, fine. Chicken tortillas and salad. We don't need the tortillas. Salmon and vegetables with or without noodles. We don't need the noodles. Curry with chickpeas and brown rice. Okay, so this is a vegetarian dish. I don't support that whatsoever. So it's like no matter what they suggest, they always have to have that carbohydrate addition to it. It has to be with rice. It has to be with noodles, with bread, with pasta, with potatoes, with something. You know what? Even if you're on a paleo diet and you remove the tubers, so you just have whatever, lots of fat, protein, and vegetables, that would probably work pretty well for most type 2 diabetics. Now, I think going even lower carb is better, but I mean, that would be such a good start if they could just recommend that, because that would get people into it and ease people into a new habit of not having that starchy thing with their meal constantly. And this is probably where I read this. So, can I eat fruit? Yes, whole fruit is good for everyone. And if you have diabetes, it's no different. You should not avoid them because they are sugary. Fruits do contain sugar, but it's natural sugar. The sugar in whole fruit is different to the added sugar in things like chocolate, biscuits, and cakes, or the free sugar found in fruit juices and smoothies. It's not different. There is fructose, pure fructose, and there is normal table sugar in that form. So there's still a fructose and a glucose attached to each other that will need to get broken down in your body, and that is what table sugar is. So it's a different composition, but it's not different sugar. Natural sugar is not different from processed sugar. It's just bound differently, and it might take a little bit longer for it to get released in your stomach before it can enter your bloodstream. Nonetheless, it's sugar, it's going out pretty quickly, and it will raise your blood sugar. So I do not know why we keep saying that added sugars are worse than natural sugars, because it's not true. And they're all sugars. And I want to argue that starches are sugars as well. Now, you won't get a response as quick, so you might not get the same stress on your pancreas initially, but over time, your pancreas is still going to have to pump it out. So you might not damage your pancreas and your ability to produce insulin as quickly as you would if it was pure sugar, but you're still going to do it. Okay, so let's be done with that one and see, was there anything else I wanted to have a look at? I don't think we need to look at this healthy eating. I think that's pretty much going to be the same thing. Nah, let's not do that. Let's stop that and go back to here. And now I'm actually up to 2 hours. And Bart has started his live stream because I can hear him talking. So I'm going to start wrapping up soon. I'm just going to check your comments. Shell says, I have a 2-drink threshold, otherwise I'm violently ill for a few days. Okay, so maybe that is telling you something. Maybe your body isn't doing well with alcohol, you know. I should drink alcohol on date nights? I don't do that. I don't like alcohol. How do you tell a date that you're carnivore asking for a friend? What? I mean, seriously, why are we making such a big deal of it? So at work now, I haven't told anyone that I'm carnivore, but people are coming in and they have their little salads, and people are creatures of habit. So there's one person, he's always having his little glass dish with some healthy stuff. There might be some couscous or something, and there's some beans and blah blah blah. It's always the same sort of crap and a little bit of meat in there. Someone else always has sandwiches, and I always have, like, I had a steak with garlic butter that unfortunately when I heated it quickly in the microwave and the butter exploded all over it, so I had to clean that. A lot of the time I just have like cold beef fillet with pesto or something, or like a burger, but just a plain burger with butter. And sometimes I have lamb with butter as well, or now at the moment I'm not eating dairy, so I do clarified butter. And people come in, and almost every time I'm eating at work, I don't eat at work, I eat at work lunch every other week. People come in and they're like, oh, that looks good. And that's what most of them say, oh, that looks good. And no one has actually questioned where are my veggies, or where's my starches. No one has said anything. So how do you tell a date that you're a carnivore? I wouldn't say, I wouldn't necessarily go like, you know what, I'm a carnivore. I would just, it will come natural. Either you're just, if you're going out for a dinner date, you might just say, okay, this is how I eat, and not make a big deal of it. Just order the steak and say, okay, can I have, I don't want the chips with it. Or if you don't even eat salad, like, can I have just the steak? And they might question it. So, yeah, I feel much better eating this way. So we don't need to, blow it up. And show that you're feeling fine eating this way. You've been doing it for years. If you're dating a vegan, then you might have a problem, but maybe you shouldn't be dating a vegan. Because, I mean, it's just your way of eating. So if you're dating someone and they says, I'm a vegetarian, you might be put off by that, and that's fine, but then that's not your type of person, is it? Then maybe you shouldn't be with that person. And if they don't think it's okay that you are carnivore, then, it's probably not the person for you or for your friend, whoever. Okay, Mars bar commercial used to say, a Mars bar a day helps you work, rest, and play. Okay, I haven't heard that one either. The only one I know is the Snickers, you not yourself when you haven't had your Snickers. I took a bite of ice cream and can't stop. It's causing my blood sugars to go up, yet like an addict I keep giving in, like I'm on a suicide mission. Yep, I totally hear you. If I had a tub of ice cream in front of me, I would keep eating until it's gone. Even if I just ate half the tub now and I put the rest back in the freezer, I would go back and I would get a little bit more throughout the day until it was gone. That's how it works with me. So the best thing for me is to not have ice cream at home. Now I do usually say that and I want you to have those things around you so that you can teach yourself how to manage it and live in the real world, if you like, so that you're not panicking every time you are faced with ice cream. But I don't keep that stuff at home, but I don't feel tempted to go and buy it now either. So if I'm going to, somewhere and for dinner and I'm served ice cream, I may or may not say no, but I want to decide that beforehand, so I'm not just giving in. I'm eating some Himalayan salt right now. So yeah, some people say that helps with the cravings to eat salt. And if it does, keep doing it. Yes, so the nonsense stuff is a perfect guide on how to damage your mitochondria with toxic seed oils. Great. Yep, really, really is. Yorkie bar is not for girls. Haha. No, it's not for men either. Haha. Okay, sugar, let me. What are we saying here? Guy, get the Pimps Life Without Cravings Facebook group. You need support. Yeah. If you haven't joined that, do that, or you can join the free membership site, which you should see if you're on YouTube. There should be a little thing there, or just scroll down in the description. You will have all the links to where you can connect with me, so you can join the free membership site, you can join the Facebook group, whatever, and we can talk more about that there. If you unfortunately already started the 30-day no sugar challenge for now, I'll run it again in May, I think, or is it earlier? I can't remember. And then you will get into a private Facebook group where we're doing some training on that. And I'm doing some live streaming in there, which is just for the group members, obviously. So, yes, you saw that. Okay, you're going to join. Awesome. I'll see you there. All right. Well spoken. The group has helped me a lot. I was on the right track, but just need a last bit of help. Totally zero carb for a week, no cravings, pretty much gone. Yeah, so a lot of the time it's, you have the knowledge and you just need a little bit of support, whether that be from me personally, or if that is in a group setting and you just see what other people are doing. And that is usually quite inspiring, and it's much easier to do then because you have other people doing it. Because when you're around people that just eat whatever and they don't care and they don't think it's anything wrong with it, it's really, really hard to keep that up, even if you have the knowledge. But when you're around people that actually do care and are on the same mission as you, it's so much easier to do. Okay. Okay, 40 grams of carbs plus knocks you out. Yeah, that's slow, but unfortunately, that's how it is for some people. I can do more than that, but long term, if I'm doing, several hundred grams, especially, it doesn't take that long before I'm in deep shit, basically. Okay. Welsh Bogan, great stream, Pim. Bye for now. Bye. I will see you next week. I hope. Yeah, next week is my birthday as well. So I'm going to eat cake next week. Maybe I'll do it on the live stream and do a live stream measuring my blood glucose. That would be pretty funny. Okay. Oh god, jumping. I'm trying to just get past this quickly now because it's 11:10. Okay, so there was actually no more questions. There was a little bit of my date lives with me and actually married me. Lucky me. Yes. No, that's correct. My brain's getting split in 2 p.m. I can't watch it, but and you at the same time. So I want to say thank you so much for being here. We've been live 2 hours, 10 minutes, and at some point there were 40 people here, or 45 even, I think. There was unusually many people here today. Next time, hopefully for next Sunday, I will actually have my watch hours. I have 450 watch hours to go. So if all 40, which isn't the case, watch all these hours, we have actually added a lot of hours on top today. So I just want to say thank you so much. And again, you know better, but spread the message. Live by the standards you want to live. Show other people how great you're feeling from doing it that way. I'm going to end it very quickly. 46 likes. That's really, really good. Thank you very much. If you haven't liked it yet, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share it with everyone. And yeah, I will be back next Sunday. So go and watch live stream. I'm going to end it right now and not talk too much. 47, awesome. You all take care, and I will see you next week. Bye.